Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to, well, we'll call it the shed for now, but I'm open to name suggestions. I've had a few floated already, but do welcome one, welcome all. I wasn't sure if I was going to do a match reaction, if I'm completely honest with you, because there isn't much you can really say about the game you've all just witnessed, we've all just witnessed. But then I thought, no, we're going to do a quick one. First of all, to highlight that we are live tomorrow, but we will unpack it in more detail, discuss the transfer window and what's happening in terms of ins, outs. I see Tom Kearney got an assist for Fulham today. I did just have a quick look to see if I could find it, to view it, but I can't. It's not available, or I've not come across it just yet. But do let us know your thoughts on potentially Tom Kearney coming into the football club. We know the approach has been made from Ipswich Town FC to Fulham in regard to the midfield player. Masiwa played the whole game today. It does highlight we do have a huge issue in that position, not because Matasiwa isn't good enough, far from it. He is one of our best players. It's the what if we can't play with Matasiwa question that happens. You know, we have no depth behind him. So that's obviously a big interest for me. But what can you say about today? And then I thought it's not really about necessarily what I want to say about it. I love hearing what you've got to say about it. So please do get active in our live chat. As Lee just said, outplayed them, but our finishing was shocking. If you watch it on catch up, leave us a comment for the algorithm. Not just for the algorithm, but leave us your thoughts and your feelings. And also in regards to who stood out, who didn't. I asked the Discord just a second ago, 3 things you liked, 3 things you didn't. I'd love your 3 things you liked, 3 things you didn't. Fisherman's Blues. Johnson has more assists than McAteer. Let that sink in. I actually thought McAteer did okay when he came on. I mean, the disappointing thing, obviously, in terms of the McAteer situation, if there is one, is that he's third choice, right? I know Wes Burns today, primarily you could argue, was played for minutes, was played to get minutes in those legs and can continue to build him up to being once again a big player for us. But then again, you could also look at it from the other side and say, does that make McAteer third choice behind Wes Burns, behind Sindra Varliegli? And that's obviously disappointing anytime you get a new player to the football club, particularly one you've spent money on, as Mike says there, 11 million for third choice. But hey, the only person who can change that is Casey McAteer. I thought he showed some decent flashes, but he obviously needs to start putting together some really solid performances to really, you know, proverbially stick his elbows out and try and nudge Wes Burns and Sindra Varliegli out of the way and make that his position. I thought it was great to see Sammy Swanix come back on the field and get minutes following his illness. He'll be a really, I feel, you know, important. He could be maybe an important part of that 10. You know, we've got Nunez, who's currently the number 10 in that position. But who else? You know, it's the same question I posed at the top of the show with Matasiwa. Behind Nunez, who is there that you really could, at this moment in time, rely on to get you goals and assists in big moments, in key games, particularly ones where you may be missing that first choice? Luke says, how on earth can we have 31? Look, Luke, I've got the stats here, my man. Unbelievable in the sense of 31 shots to their 8 on target out of 31 shots. Digging a little bit deeper, we've got absolutely dominated, obviously, as you'd imagine, with that statistic of 31 shots, total touches inside the opposition box. To only, you know, it's interesting when you really drill in to the match stats in the terms, and there they are on your screen. I've just showed them. This is from BBC, and there was one earlier where it showed you where the shots came from. Oh, here you go. Attempts out of box. As you can see, look, we're just 31 shots. It's an amazing statistic, only 8 on target. But when you look at these games, obviously the FA Cup is in a day of, not a day of upsets, but particularly one upset jumps immediately out to you, and full credit goes to them for what they've done in terms of knocking the holders out. But when you look at the FA Cup, it is sometimes about getting minutes in players' legs returning from injury or haven't played in a while, perhaps trying something you wouldn't necessarily try in your domestic competition, which McKenna himself has said is sort of the priority, as you'd imagine. But it is also about players showing what they can do in that position and really coming to the forefront. And you want to learn something that you didn't necessarily know leading into it, right? You may want to learn that, let's take Ben Johnson, for example, that he can perform to a good standard on the left side. Or you may want to learn that Azon can continue to show flourishes, which I don't know if he did today. But one of the things you want to learn is about that centre forward position. But we didn't learn anything. In fact, what we actually did for me is reinforce that we need a centre forward. You need a goal scorer. You need creativity, not just a forward, but creativity in terms of your central midfield player. You know, you've got Jack Taylor, works hard, lots of work rate. I don't really feel we've got that flair next to Matasiwa, that flair in the position that really can dictate games when perhaps Nunez is taken out of it tactically, unavailable for selection, perhaps just not on form, whatever it may be that players go through the course of a 46-game season. I really want somebody else that I can hang my hat on and say that man there is full of ability on the ball, vision with his passing, can get around the football field, can get you goals from the central midfield area. I don't feel we have that right now. That's also a key area for me, right next to Matasiwa. I just don't know if we've got somebody that I would say, yes, that is my starter. I've got two players in Jack Taylor and Jens Kajus who I'm quite comfortable if I'm Kieran McKenna, perhaps rotating. And, you know, you could play one this week because of this tactical approach. You could play this one this week because of this defensive approach, whatever it may be. But have you got that player next to Matasiwa where you literally just, without even thinking, his name goes straight into the team sheet? It's a no-brainer. I don't think we have. Maddie said, I think you should call your shed Chapper's Cabin or Taylor's Treehouse. The Porter Cabin, does that work? I don't know. Luke says, forget Tom Kenny. It's not an area of priority. And number 9 is the priority. Absolutely. Don't mistake me, Luke, with what I just said there. Centre forward is the priority. Goals win games. We know we create chances. We know it, right? Today proved it, although you should be creating chances in a game like today. Cup upsets do happen, yes, but as we said on our match preview, all things considered, league position, squad value, all the different things, which, you know, when you play the game don't actually matter. It's what those 11 players do against those 11. But when you come into it, all things considered, Town should be the stronger side, should be more comfortable. It should at times be almost routine because you're where you are in your progression as a club compared to your opposition, who I thought actually had some really good moments and really good passages of play in various moments of the game. But so yeah, don't mistake me. Centre forward is absolutely a priority. We create chances. The stats tell you we create chances. Today tells you we create chances. We can't finish. But equally, I want more goals throughout the spread of the team. I don't just want our goal scorer to be Jaden Philogene. Much as I love Jaden Philogene, and it's brilliant that he scores goals, when you've got one player literally on fire, if you take him out of the game tactically, unavailable, whatever it might be, who else is going to get you the goals? So I want to start spreading those throughout the team. And that's where my central midfield player really comes into it. You know, you've got Nunez in the 10, 8 assists, I believe, this season. Great. Who's his competition? Who's pushing him hard? Who can you rely on? There's a couple of just key areas for me. But yeah, Jaden Philogene, again, gets his goal, performs well. He's our best player. He's our, or I'll rephrase that, he's our best attacking threat, without a shadow of a doubt. If I was playing Ipswich tomorrow, next week, in a month's time, my priority of me and my coaching team with one thing and one thing only: how do you stop Jaden Philogene? Be that how do you stop the supply to him, or how do you actually stop him? That would be what I would be committing a lot of my resources to if I was the opposition coach. Which is, as a fan, I then think, okay, if they're going to start thinking that way or start performing that way, where else can we really hurt a side when they look to take one player out of the game? Because they've got to leave space elsewhere. They've got to leave opportunities elsewhere. Have we got the players that can really step forward? I thought Jack Clark played well today. Craig wouldn't be shocked at all of a low Premier League side, but a bit in for Philogene. Yeah, look, it's interesting on that one, isn't it? Because he obviously came in last season in the January window, played a handful of games, sadly got injured. So you didn't really see a lot of him in the Premier League. What you did see certainly wasn't the Jaden Philogene we're seeing today. I'd have to go back and look at his Aston Villa stats to see what he did in terms of his Aston Villa performances. But again, I don't really think he set the world alight. So would it be a case of you're a Premier League side, you do it this window, or would it be a case if you're a Premier League side, you revisit in the summer? to see where Town are, if they've been promoted or if they've stayed in the division they're in. They may want to, or different scenarios start to approach themselves. Or do you say another 12 to 18 months, you then check back in, because he's a player that's developing, a very young player. So yeah, fortunately, I'm not in charge of a football club or the recruitment team, so I don't have to make those types of decisions. We've got Luke says, can't see Jaden leaving, don't need to sell financial reasons. It have to be a silly money at 50 million. People suggesting Troy Parrott. I'm not overly in love with that. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't, obviously, well, I probably would complain about it, to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not going to sit here and say anything different. I probably would complain about it. But Roy says, what do people think of Troy Parrott? Scored 10 goals so far this season for AZ Alkmaar. Scored a hat-trick against Hungary for Ireland, and he's been here before, and he's a lot better now. And I think that probably is where my point of view is sort of more based, Roy. It's from the previous time he was at Town, and you're right, he's a different player now, he's a better player now, and it's probably incorrect of me and not fair for me to sit here and sort of judge him on that moment in the past, because if memory serves him correctly, it was under Paul Lambert, and I don't think any player would have looked good in that team in that moment, because it wasn't brilliant, was it? Let's be honest, it wasn't fun to be a Town fan at that moment in time, rather. But yeah, so look, what did you learn today? Well, nothing new. You need a centre forward. You've got a fairly decent squad where individually they can come in and perform in one by one when you need them to. I thought Ben Johnson was okay today, really good. I thought Jack Clark was excellent. I say excellent, really good. Matasiwa, look, I didn't like the selection of Matasiwa before the game. Those on Discord will know that. I thought it was a little bit risky. You've got no one behind him. Next week, Blackburn, the most important game, until the one after that, and that's the most important game, and so forth and so forth. I just didn't feel today, with it being a home FA Cup third round tie against Blackpool inside the bottom six of League One, that you needed a holding midfield player, particularly the only one you've got fit, available, and is certainly inside your top 3 or 4 best players of this campaign. So I didn't like the inclusion, but as far as I'm aware, we came through it, he came through it, and Town progress. That's why I'm not a manager. Simple as that. That's why I'm a podcaster and not a manager. But as a podcaster, with my opinion, didn't like it. Winced every time anyone went near him. I was like, please don't tackle him. You almost remember those training games you had where players were returning from injury or whatever the case may be, and they'd put a bib on, and you're like, you can't go in on that player, right? You can't fully tackle that player. I almost felt like, can we put a bib on at Matasiwa that says do not tackle under any circumstance? Because I just didn't want to risk anything. So I didn't like the inclusion, the selection of Matasiwa. But hey, that's well, I'm not in charge of a football team. Good to see him come through it. One of our best players again today. Alex Palmer, I thought was good. But there we go. That's my thoughts, right? It's really difficult because it was a comfortable performance from the football club this afternoon. 200 games for Kieran McKenna. Congratulations. 200 games. Like, that can't be underestimated, right? 200 games. I think it's 200 games anyway. I think I saw that correctly. It's just phenomenal, right? Phenomenal. When you think about where we are in terms of modern football and how quickly managerial reigns can come and go. And obviously that's not the case traditionally at this football club. But, to do 200 games, all of them, it must be all of them here. Well, and what can you say? Success. The stats sometimes tell you all you need to know, right? And Kieran McKenna's managerial stats will tell you all you need to know about Kieran McKenna. But congratulations to him and well done. As I say, in a modern game where reigns come and go so quickly, in a blink of an eye, you can go from manager Martin Lambert is in charge to manager, I'll go there, Paul Lambert is in charge to somebody else in the space of, it almost feels like 2-3 months to do as many games as that. It's just well done to him. Fisherman's Blue, I swear Blackpool's keeper was George Hurst's twin. Don't I can't say I can't say I thought that resemblance. Skylar, I think we see Premier League strikers and think Championship strikers will be similar, but they're not. Every team misses tons of chances. Shabby, he's behind you keeper, might be wrong. Yes, I think he was Shabby. I remember. I think I'm going to look that up. Shabby, I'm going to look that right up because you know what? When I heard the name Bailey Peacock Farrell, I'm 99% sure. I was like, I know that name, but why do I know that name? And then I just put it down to playing Football Manager for many years as I have done. And, you come across so many different players. But I now wonder, now you've said that, was he at Sheffield? Yes, he was. Sheffield Wednesday, 21-22 season, 43 appearances. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Shabby, top work. If I had points in this chat, I'd give you a point. Top work. But anyway, we're done for the day. Don't forget, we are partnered with Match Bingo, Stowmarket Osteopaths. More information on both of those in our description. But of course, we have partnered with Match Bingo to give you a 100% deposit bonus when you use the word town all in caps. £10 deposit minimum. Can't be withdrawn, but the winnings absolutely can be. Terms and the bonus isn't bonus cash and can't be withdrawn, but the winnings absolutely can be. There you go, to give you more information on that one. Over 18s only. T&Cs apply. Please gamble responsibly. Visit begambleaware.org for more information. Play Match Bingo, win cash prizes. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to play now. And Stowmarket Osteopath Quality Care since 1985. 01449 613 633. That's 01449 613 633. Lee says, go and sign him back. And that's Bonnie's referring. I think Bond's just been released by, is it Morden and Tiptree, I want to say? I might be wrong on that one, but I'm sure I've just seen on my timeline that Macaulay Bonne is one of two players they recently either released or didn't give an extension to, or whatever the case may be. I'm not entirely up on that situation. Boy About Town, midfield is a priority. Midfield absolutely is a priority. Look, we're back live again tomorrow, right? We'll break into more detail. We'll look at the midfield. We'll look at the centre forwards. We'll discuss everything that's gone on this week. Luke suggested, look at me, Luke. Look at me. Knowing stuff outside the Ipswich Town bubble. Clip it all up because I need that as evidence that sometimes I do know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm done for now. Thanks for joining me. You look after yourselves. Have a great Saturday night. My Saturday night will be dictated to by this group and whether or not they can finally beat a rival in an important game. As Town fans, you'll know exactly how that feels. Higgy says quality midfield player needed. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm done. Look after yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow for more in-depth look at the game, where we really break it down into individual performances and as I said, just transfer news and bits. But I wanted to do a show because I love hearing what you think more than what I think. I want to know what you think. So if you've watched me live, leave a comment. If you're watching on catch up, leave a comment. I really enjoy. And of course, don't forget our free voice messaging service, speakpipe.com/talkingtown, for your opinions, questions, rants, praises, where we need to strengthen in the transfer market, where we absolutely must strengthen the transfer market, anything and everything, right? I just love hearing what you've got to say. It's something I really enjoy, just hearing what other Town fans have to say about their football club, because we all see it differently, we all view it differently, we all think about it differently. So yeah, anyway, take care, God bless, all the best, and I'll see you tomorrow. You've reached the end. Thank you so much for watching. Hit here to subscribe, it's totally free, and hit here for more Talking Town videos. I'll see you on the next one.